Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to another edition of Dragon Ball Super Reviews, in which I'm going to be reviewing Dragon Ball Super Episode 23, and giving my thoughts on that, as well as predicting what I think will happen in Episode 24. Well, a lot of stuff happened in Dragon Ball Super Episode 23, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, with the fallout of last week, with Piccolo taking the blow for Gohan, seemingly killed by Frieza's blast, Gohan was starting to get angry. And as Frieza was laughing about it, Gohan stood up ready to fight, seemingly ready to snap into a rage boost. But before we saw that, what happened was we flashed over to Goku and Vegeta as they were sparring in that other place, that other dimension with the clouds. It seems like this is where Goku and Vegeta are pushing themselves to their limits, training as hard as they can, keeping their ki within their bodies and trying to achieve perhaps that Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan form, although in this scene we do not happen to see it. However, in the midst of their training, we happen to be interrupted again by Bulma on Earth, as she sends out a message to Whis, who finally checks his answering machine of sorts with his staff, and he finally sees her with the parfait. And of course, Whis and Beerus are all too ready to try and go and get that ice cream so that they can eat it for themselves. And so quickly, Whis decides to pull Goku and Vegeta out of that dimension so that they could get ready to go to that planet. However, it's at this point that all these characters actually find out that Frieza, the evil tyrant, has been revived and come to the Earth, ready to try and get revenge on Goku and kill everyone in their way. So in a very interesting scene, Whis actually heals Goku and Vegeta after their training, showing that, again, this guy seems to be the most broken character in the history of the series. Not only can he open dimensional rifts and beat Beerus up like with one shot, but also he could heal people, and he can turn back time. This is a little bit ridiculous if I have to say so myself, but it also makes him awesome just because of the fact that how can you even attempt to beat this guy in a fight? But going on, basically what happens is that at this point, Goku and Vegeta are trying to get to Earth so that they can combat Frieza, and Goku's trying to use his instant transmission teleportation technique. However, he cannot sense them that far away, or doesn't know where they are in relation to his own kind of planet or dimension, wherever the heck he happens to be at this point in time, because they didn't obviously explain it to us. But Goku relents that he's not able to get there and doesn't know what he's going to be able to do. That is until Gohan finally snaps and releases his power, raging out, powering up not only first off with his seemingly mystic form, but then turning into a Super Saiyan. And his energy is so great that he actually alerts Goku and Vegeta to his presence, and they're able to teleport in front of him. And just in time, because for some reason Gohan's body gives out and Frieza's right about to kill him with a finger beam. That is until Goku and Vegeta show up and deflect the blast. Goku then comforts Gohan on the ground after Frieza becomes enraged at the sight of him, telling him that his energy was great and he did well, and of course healing him with a sensu bean. After this, of course, Goku and Vegeta tell Goten and Trunks to leave, because they have everything handled as too dangerous for them to be around. And of course, I mean, since they could turn to Gotenks, I feel like, they still have some sort of, bearing and ability to actually combat, maybe not Frieza, but his soldiers, but the fact of the matter is that they only seem to have been in this arc at this point for a cameo and a fun little scene. Even though I don't think it makes a lot of sense they defuse at this point, they should still, even at this point, be Gotenks. But the fact of the matter is, at least they were used a little bit better than they were in the movie, when they weren't even in it and we were just given a terrible excuse of, oh, they're grounded, or some stupid excuse like that, which never even made sense in the first place, but I digress. After this point, Ginyu, in Tagoma's body, tells Frieza that he's ready to go and fight Vegeta and the other Saiyans who have arrived to try and fight him. Of course, Vegeta laughs at this, and Tagoma Ginyu tries to say that he's powerful. That is until Vegeta rushes right up to him, blasts him, and one shot kills him in a very dominating and impressive way. Now, I was a little bit disappointed with this just because of the fact that I was hoping that he would survive, just because it would be really interesting to see him come back as a recurring character in the future, or maybe do other stuff off in space. I always sort of hoped that they would do a sort of Ginyu Force spin-off episode, but unfortunately they never seem to have done that, and they're never going to do it at this point. But then again, for all we know, Tagoma is now going to show up as the frog, and maybe, since he was able to do that change now thing with Ginyu, inherit that power and take his place, so to speak. But of course, after this show of strength, and after Vegeta was taunting Frieza, telling him how powerful he's become along with Kakarot, Frieza decided that it was enough playing games and powered up to his ultimate form, ready to fight them. And just like in the movie, his strength was impressive. It It looked ready for Vegeta and Goku to fight him together, but of course Goku said no, you just took care of Ginyu, so Frieza is all mine. And so of course this set up the scene in which we see this glory shot of Goku and Frieza posing one another, ready to have that epic fight and confrontation that they had in the movie. And it's going to be very interesting, it's going to be very curious to see if perhaps this will be even better than the fight in the movie itself, because as we saw with the Battle of Gods arc, in my opinion, the fight between Goku and Beerus was significantly better and more epic than it was in the film. The animation quality was decent in this episode, so it might live up to that expectation that I have. Hopefully they institute a lot more tension, and they don't do the same laser gun thing that they did in the movie. Of course, we saw that Frieza killed his entire army just by powering up, but Sorbet survived, so hopefully Sorbet isn't surviving just so he can use the laser blast. But at this point, I can't really see them using any other alternative. I would hope that Frieza might be able to be the one to actually deal that blow to Goku, but I guess we're gonna have to wait and find out. Since I feel like that would be a lot more apropos, and it would fit in Goku's character and Frieza's character, because Goku once again tries to let Frieza live, but Frieza's doing a lot better than he did last time, and he ends up just blasting Goku through the chest, but I guess that waits to be seen. But overall, I really enjoyed this episode because of the fact that it moves so many things forward. The pacing of the Resurrection F arc so far has been incredibly quick compared to the Battle of Gods arc, and that is both good and bad in the series format, so it's going to be really interesting to see exactly whether or not this is going to live up to the hype of the movie, and whether or not it's going to live up to the quality, and hopefully they won't rush all of this through so they could get to the next arc, because that'll make this seem even more pointless than it was to begin with. But this allows me to transition into my predictions, and of course in the next episode we're going to see the entire fight between base Goku and Frieza in his final form before their ultimate transformations. And interestingly enough, it seems like that entire fight is going to happen over the course of that episode. I almost expected them to pad it out a little bit further, but as we can see in this picture, it seems like Goku is already going to transform into his Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan Blue form. And this leads me to think that perhaps at the end of the next episode, Frieza is also going to take his golden form, and then we're going to set up that ultimate fight between the two. So I'm going to predict in the next episode pretty much everything happens according to the movie, although it's probably going to be a little bit more padded out because of the fact that that fight was much shorter than it seems to be, with this episode seemingly taking up that entire fight. And it seems like if that's going to be the case, the fight between Goku and Frieza is going to be even longer than it was in the movie. So hopefully they utilize all of that time properly so that they can make the fight even better and more epic than ever. Other than that, I pretty much expect what happened in the movie to happen. Goku lets his guard down, he gets beaten by Frieza, and then all of a sudden Vegeta steps in and he beats Frieza, setting up that ultimate twist ending. But of course, all of that just waits to be seen. Well, my name is Mike, and this has been another edition of Dragon Ball Super Reviews and Predictions. Tell me your own thoughts down below. What did you think of this episode? Have you seen it yet? And if so, what are your thoughts on it? Do you agree with me or do you disagree? Also, what do you predict will happen in the next coming episodes? Let me know down below. Also, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And as I always say, stick around because there's a lot more to come in the future.
You better subscribe.